Look, y'all, what's going on with y'all? Welcome back to the Be More Show. Look, man, EDC, 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 EDC. I think I need a full-fledged all-season breakdown, but I got two moves I got to talk about. Two of the most recent ones that we've seen from EDC, and I got to give EDC some credit. Let me just put this caveat right here, as I often do with EDC. I feel like EDC, especially, it depends on the coordinators, depends on what they want, but I've always felt like EDC gives people what they want, right? I feel like regardless of what we think as fans, how we feel about what EDC does, EDC is a man of his coaches, not necessarily the people, but a man of his coaches and a man of his players, right? Jair Alexander is the most recent signing for the Baltimore Ravens on the defensive end, a guy who, let's be honest, right? He's had some injury issues over the past couple of years. I mean, 3 of the last 4 seasons, he's only played half of the season or less, right? Which, of course, is not a good thing. But I think productivity wise, he hasn't slowed down in the games that he's played, if that makes sense. Because when I look back, just looking at the stats right now, just taking a little peek at it, the last time, his last Pro Bowl season in 2022, he had 43 tackles. Where's his interception number? Pass deflection, 14 pass deflections. He didn't have any. No, he had 5 INTs that year, but no pick sixes. But still, like when you go back to his last pretty much full season, right? If you look back at his last full season, he's still been playing really well. Even last year, even when you look at last year, for the 7 games that he played, he did okay. He did okay, but I think, and this is why I think sometimes these veteran moves work out for the Baltimore Ravens specifically. The reason that I say these veteran moves work out is because a lot of times, especially as of late, especially on the defensive end, it's felt like the Ravens haven't been bringing these veterans in to be the guy, right? Marlowe is still going to be the guy. You got Nate Wiggins, right? You've shored up your secondary in the back end with Malachi Starks. Of course, you got Kyle Hamilton, who can play pretty much everywhere. I know, of course, you lose Ardarius Washington, which probably makes this move make that much more sense to just shore up your depth a little bit in the secondary. But Jair Alexander, as he gets older, I think honestly is going to be still a big key to this team. I think it's a huge time. Of course, Lamar wanted him. That's why I was saying he's a man of the players, a man of the people in that regard, a man of the players. And I think I just got to give EDC a little bit of credit real quick. I got to give EDC a little bit of credit because EDC, like I said, like him or hate him, when Greg Roman was around, EDC made sure he was stacked with tight ends because that's what he wanted, right? I think we can question going after, or at least the failure to get an elite pass rusher. We can question that, but even still, bringing in Kyle Van Noy, and even the last couple years where the Ravens have been in the upper echelon when it comes to elite pass rushers, not elite pass rushers, but at least sacks, right? They haven't been in the upper echelon when it comes to elite pass rushers, but at least in sacks, and numerically they've still been in the top percentile without having an elite pass rusher. Is what I'm trying to say. But I feel like honestly, EDC, I got to give him a little bit of credit on this one because I feel like bringing in Jair Alexander, it just helps, right? It just helps this team. Honestly, I'll be honest, it wasn't even needed. And sometimes that's the moves that make the most sense to do. The moves where you don't even feel like you really need the Ravens really need Jair Alexander, not necessarily, but the fact that you have him and his talent and the ceiling of what he could be is huge. I think he was signed for 1 year, $6 million. And, to get him for that price point, there's not much to lose. It goes back to, we go back to like the Deontay Johnson trade, right? You get him for barely nothing. And it's one of those situations where it's like, if it doesn't work out, which it didn't, we all know that, but if it doesn't work out, it's okay, right? This one I feel like is another one because when you look at, so I can find it real quick. when you look at the Ravens depth chart, you know, you got Nate Wiggins on one side, then you have Jair Alexander on the other side. For depth, you got Awuzie and TJ Tampa, and then you also have Marlowe to play the slot now. You can put Marlowe in the slot and let him do his thing, and he's been very comfortable in the slot too. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how that goes. I mean, I know the Ravens haven't really had a great track record as of late over the past couple of seasons with veteran corners. You know, I mean, I should just say veteran secondary players. We talk about Marcus Peters and what that turned into. You talk about Eddie Jackson and what that turned into. Now, of course, safeties as opposed to corners, but still, the secondary has been kind of weird as of late for the Baltimore Ravens. So I think it's a good move. I still think it's a good move. I think it's high upside, you know, very low downside in terms of what this could be, right? What this could be. Because this could make the Ravens secondary be one of the best in the league. Now it makes you wonder because I'm, you know, I'm not saying I'm not a big secondary guy. I honestly feel like when it comes to receivers, when it comes to corners, you can never have too many. I think that's just a fact. I think you can never have too many, especially with the offenses that we ended up facing. Cornerbacks, you can never have too many. And I think, you know, I felt the same way a couple years, you know, with some of the other signings that the Ravens have had to shore up their secondary a little bit. I've always felt the same way, right? And I think this is still the same. I think TJ Tampa could really have a good little coming out party. Awuzie has always been really good. I know a lot of people are big on Bo Brady. Is it Bo Brady or Bo Brady? Regardless, I mean, I know a lot of people are big on him, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Of course, Nate was good, and of course you always got the possibility of putting Kyle Hamilton in the, you know, down in the box and letting him take away tight ends. So I think this is big. Like this move for the Baltimore Ravens is, I think, bigger than a lot of people are going to say, right? To be honest with you, I haven't heard a lot of commentary on this, but I do feel like it is a really big move. I think it is a really good move for the Baltimore Ravens to get Jair Alexander, because I think it just adds to the depth of the corners. And if we're not going to have an elite pass rusher, we've seen, you have youth at pass rush. You have some new pass rushers that you're trying to try out here. Of course, you got Kyle Van Noy, who I think led the league, not led the league, but led the Ravens in sacks last year. You know, you hope you still get some good things out of Odafe Oweh. You hope some of your young guys like Mike Green and those guys show up as well. So, you know, it's going to be interesting. You know, even, you know, on the inside with Aeneas Peebles, who might not get a lot of playing time, but in that rotation with Nnamdi Madubuike is going to be big too. So I'm excited, y'all. I'm excited to see what this defense is going to be like. I think it's going to be big. I think this defense is going to have an uptick. I think last year, for half of the season, they were okay, right? It was just the first half of the season they were just kind of not good. Let's be honest, they were one of the worst defenses in the league, and to turn that around mid-season for Zach Orr, I think was good. And I think, you know, EDC continues to put the talent around Zach Orr as a coach for him to be successful. Now, like I said before, I'm be curious about this pass rush once again, because even though the Ravens can do it by committee, I don't know how often, you know, they will be able to do it by committee, but I feel like Zach Orr is doing a good job of being creative in how he schemes up who's coming and who's not. So I'm excited. Y'all. I think honestly, I think this is going to be big for the Baltimore Ravens. Jair Alexander to the Ravens. I'm feeling good about it. What about you guys? Let me know down below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you are on the YouTube as well. Be sure to hit the subscribe button for me and hit the like button as well, so we can hit up some other people with this content. But please let me know down below, Jair Alexander. What do you think? Where does this make this defense rank at the end of this season? Let me know down below. We'll see you guys on the next one.